So next up, we have Tran.
Well, I really didn't think I'd make it this far. Thank you all for having me and listening. So, I'm going to do a poem that I keep really dear to my heart. It's for a friend, a really close friend that I knew back in school. This is called Broken Tattoo. Her eyes are broken. She doesn't see the world the way she should, since the convexity of tears tends to blur and distort. He was there tonight. That silver-tongued devil she calls boyfriend uses his words to make her believe he still loves her without actually having to say so, and without actually having to do so. Her lips are broken for not being able to say no, for not saying all the things she should, not telling him to go, but her hands are broken too, and can't stop his, the wrecking ball fists he calls hands, giving her eyes as black as flightless crows. She knows her wings don't work anymore, and her legs can only run, but she never learned how to stand. Instead, she balances on bathroom sinks. Razors and fingertips too broken to put them down. She keeps laying those shallow cuts into her skin, trying to remind her body what it feels like to heal. Her tears remain nameless, uncounted, and losses in this fate, but she transcribes every set of scars into her arm like they were stamped with a date: February 2nd, March 20th, April 23rd, June 12th. That one was her birthday. She doesn't like having to explain the bandages and bruises with a half-hearted, broken corner smile, so she wears long-sleeved turtlenecks and those dark aviator sunglasses to hide what he had done to her, and she keeps doing to herself, but he'd peel off her jeans, strip away the heavy sweaters, and everything she uses to hide behind, like the combined layers of sadness and sarcasm. You'll see the only tattoo not stamped in black and blue by his needled fist. You'll see the word beautiful on her hip. She got written in reverse. So when she looks at her body, naked, in the mirror, she'll try not to hate herself so much. This girl in glass image, fragile as a vase, who just breaks so easily. Every morning, she looks at her wrists and whispers, "Forgive me," wondering if today will be one of those days she gives birth to new scars, new endless chasms of despair, new reasons to fade into the ether of the air. She wants to have another word, maybe love, written across her wrist, but she can't bear to let anyone else touch them because she carries her arms like the Bibles that still remember razor blade angels, and they're the last thing she prays to after he's done sowing seeds of the same tattoo. The blue flower bruises blooming over her skin. He comes to her, arms cocked with the pistol thread of his palms, shooting bullet-tipped fingers, splitting cheekbone from jaw while she stands there, accepting his anger the way mountains accept avalanche, or river stones accepting erosion. And no one's shown her what could be, so all she knows is that maybe this is what it means to love. So when the claws are pulling at her chest, reaching in to feel if her heart still beating, she's bleeding instead, carrying all that weight alone. She is ashamed and broken, like a mind with Alzheimer's, has forgotten how to love herself and how beautiful she is. Now she deserves so much more than this deluge of tears flooding waves into the gravity of her riptide eyes as proof of how heavy the emptiness can sometimes be. She deserves to be free, to take back her bruised and battered body that has suffered enough once the storm clouds in her eyes break, instead of pouring down rain into the apology she makes with slit veins. Her hands will one day remember the feeling of finally healing, so she'll be strong enough to push him back through the exit doors of her life into the gutter memory where he belongs, and hopefully soon she'll finally figure out that she doesn't need words on her hips or reminders on her wrists to remember that even at her worst, she's still this amazing human being. This graffiti portrait of a girl so broken, but still beautiful. Thank you. Yeah. All right, this last one is a personal favorite of mine because it really displays how just fucking awkward I feel most of the time, and yeah, it's called Awkward Bodies. If you knew me well enough, we'd start off talking about food, arts, music, maybe even motorcycles, but find ourselves an hour later debating about stupid things like politics, polar bears, swine flu, and how a monkey would totally win in a fight with a kangaroo. That's why my friends call me a randersationalist, a person who fills awkward silences with random conversations, you see. I've been told I'm like a parrot with ADD, so I know what it's like to be different, to be weird and strange and just plain awkward, like that woman who finds herself in conversations randomly rhyming like Dr. Seuss, or that zoologist who can't stop talking about the way rabbits reproduce. This is for anyone who's ever felt left out. For every b-boy and a hip-hop star with deep breaths and arms outstretched quoting Frost and Du Bois, and every girl who walked down the street, found a bag full of Skittles in her jeans and screamed she had a pocket full of sunshine but hoped no one would notice. This is for every atheist in church on Sunday morning, and all the sinners in the rows in front of them. For anyone who's come close to breaking their own bones just to fit into someone else's mold and given so much of themselves to this world they can hardly recognize their own reflection. For all those people who stare in the mirror wishing someone else was looking back, someone who wasn't so fat, someone less timid, less ugly, someone less gay. They say we aren't enough, that we need to be fixed, but how many of us are broken? How many of us wake up believing we're too old or too Asian, that we're 2 shades too dark, and pray the day will come when we can honestly say, I am better than this. Now I wish I could tell you that we are all beautiful in almost 7 billion different ways, but there's always going to be someone out there aiming to prove me wrong, someone out there who will tell you, no, you're not good enough. From the magazine covers to your ex-girlfriend's mothers, they'll tell you your hands aren't big enough to hold up the sky, your eyes too wide to forget the beauty and flawed things, but do not apologize for your humanity. Every single one of us is struggling and fragile. And if you don't know what vulnerable looks like, ask any recovering cutter's wrist what it feels like to open. Ask any war widow's heart what it means to break. Ask the subway trains why they shake. Or better yet, ask your rib cage. Ask the gravity in your own bones how hard it is to carry your soul. Do not let anyone who's never been in your shoes ever tell you what you're supposed to do. Don't let fitting in stop you from feeling accepted, but most of all, do not let this world dictate who you're supposed to be. And you're still trying to figure out who you actually are. Thank you.
Hey.